When you or someone you care about is affected by a rare disease, you notice things that researchers and doctors may not always see. You understand which symptoms affect daily life the most, what changes in symptoms would improve daily life, and what you would be willing to go through if a treatment actually made life better, like frequent doctor visits, side effects, injections, or time away from school or work. All of this is valuable information, and when it is collected as data, it can help shape how new treatments are developed. Data that comes from patients, caregivers, and patient advocacy groups is useful long before a clinical trial ever begins. It can guide researchers on what to focus on, which symptoms matter most, how long a study should last, and even what aspects of their daily life should be captured in research. Patient advocacy groups play a critical role in gathering this information and helping ensure that drug development reflects real-life needs. Many rare diseases affect multiple parts of the body and cause a wide range of symptoms. While the goal is a cure that addresses the underlying cause of the disease, often in the meantime, we need to focus on treatments that improve specific symptoms that have the biggest impact on daily life. For example, the Overgrowth Syndrome Alliance surveyed people with overgrowth intellectual disability syndromes and their caregivers to understand which symptoms people most wanted new treatments for. They learned that families were especially hoping for improvements in intellectual disability and behavioral challenges. Insights like these can help researchers decide which symptoms to focus on first and where to invest time and resources in developing new therapies. The Cystic Fibrosis Foundation created a patient registry that collects longitudinal health information by following the same people living with cystic fibrosis over time. This kind of long-term data, called natural history data, helps researchers learn how a disease typically progresses and how that changes over time when new treatments become available. Through the information collected in this registry, researchers learned how lung function declines as people with cystic fibrosis get older. This real-world data has been used to design clinical trials. It helped determine how many people needed to be enrolled and how long the clinical trial needed to be to show whether a new treatment could slow lung damage. When designing a study, researchers want to collect all the important information, but they also want to avoid overwhelming participants with too many tests and surveys. The Association for Creatine Deficiencies tackled this challenge by asking their community which outcomes they felt were important to measure in every clinical trial. They started with 122 possible outcomes, and working together with patients, families, and scientists, they narrowed the list to just 8 core items, including cognitive functioning, emotional dysregulation, and seizures. Having a core set of priorities makes data collection more focused and ensures the study measures what matters most to the people affected by the condition. Gene therapy offers hope for many rare diseases, but it also comes with risks. The parent project Muscular Dystrophy Organization gathered input from individuals living with Duchenne muscular dystrophy and from caregivers to understand how they view the risks of joining a gene therapy clinical trial. They were interested in understanding risk tolerance, which is the level of risk of a negative outcome or side effect someone is willing to accept for the chance of potential improvement. Because previous gene therapy trials had led to serious adverse events, the organization wanted to learn how people felt about potential risks. An adverse event is any undesirable experience associated with the use of a medical product in a patient, and can range from discomforts like nausea or fatigue to serious events like nerve damage or even death. They found that individuals were generally more willing to take higher risks, or their risk tolerance was higher, at later stages of the disease. This information helps researchers create appropriate inclusion criteria for a trial and gives families the information they need to make informed choices about participating in a gene therapy clinical trial. These are a few of many examples of where patient advocacy groups have been involved in providing data that can support and inform the drug development process. These highlight that even before a trial begins, there is plenty of room for flexibility and collaboration. When patient advocacy groups work with researchers and biostatisticians early in the process, They can collect data that meets the quality requirements based on its intended use, that answers the important questions needed to support future clinical trials. Your lived experience, when gathered and shared thoughtfully, can become a building block for the next breakthrough in treatment.